Maybe don't know.
This time, this time, this time, this time, this time to build. 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 This time power. This time to build power. This time to build power. This time to build power.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Chris Hampton. Welcome to episode 126 of the Power Company Podcast, brought to you by PowerCompanyClimbing.com. Maybe I should say the long-awaited episode 126, because I've definitely not been keeping up with the podcast while I was in Australia. However, I am back in Lander, Wyoming currently, and, getting caught up, just started a new training cycle. Getting excited to spend some time at home. I've been on the road for quite a while. And what that means for you all is that I'll be putting out lots more podcasts. I've got so many waiting. It's a little bit out of control. It's very out of control, let's be honest here. And I'll also be getting caught up on the Patreon episodes. There's a lot to talk about on there, so I'm excited to get those rolling as well. Coming up very soon, Nate and I will both be teaching a pre-conference workshop in conjunction with the Climbing Wall Association Summit, which is the subject of today's podcast. And that'll be called Coaching Tools for Growth. We'll be giving coaches a safe space to make mistakes, bumble through the language, really dig into the learning process of coaching, as well as really digging into how to build a high quality practice with your athletes and taking the coaches through a session, getting their ideas, really working through all of that, which is a place that coaches don't often get. We're looked at to have the answers. So I think it's going to be a really valuable workshop. If you're a coach interested in coaching and you're going to be at the CWA Summit, definitely check that out. That happens Wednesday, May 15th at the new Spot Denver. Really excited to see their new gym too. I'll also be speaking at the CWA conference on quality practice and growth mindset. So similar topics, but more a directed talk than a hands-on workshop. And you can register for the pre-conference workshop as well as the entire CWA seminar at climbingwallsummit.org. It's coming up soon. Get registered now. Coming up right after the CWA, it will be the next Performance Climbing Coach Seminar that happens in Fort Collins, May 18th to the 20th. I believe there are still spots left, so you should check out performanceclimbingcoach.com and get registered if you have not. We've also announced the next one. It's going to be in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Did I say that right? Murfreesboro? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, actually. And that's going to be October 4th through the 6th. My birthday's on the 5th, so cupcakes for everybody. Neely's not going to like that, but I don't much care. And all of our coaches are going to be there. All of the Power Company coaches, Paul Corsaro, Nate Drolet, of course, Blake Cash, and Jess West, our newest coach, will all be in attendance. They'll be there attending the seminar, mostly just to keep me in check and let me know how badly I'm doing, I'm sure. But you can meet us all, so come to that event, please. Again, you can sign up at performanceclimbingcoach.com. So I mentioned the CWA in there, and if you've been listening to this podcast, it's no secret that I had a really fantastic and productive time at last year's CWA. That's the Climbing Wall Association. This is their trade show, their summit that they host in Loveland, Colorado. And when I first went to the CWA, I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that there were a lot of people there I would like to talk to for the podcast and that I should go and check it out. And I was pretty blown away by the entire event. And this year, actually, I think I'm skipping Outdoor Retailer and just putting my focus into the CWA. It just seems to make more sense for my business. And today's guest is the events coordinator for the CWA, Emily Moore. She was my first contact with the CWA and has been absolutely amazing. She's incredibly passionate about this thing that she and her team are building. And I'm not going to say too much more. I'm just going to let you get the whole gist of it from Emily. And just a quick note, in the middle of this conversation, we do hear from a friend of mine, Dan Chancellor from So Ill, about his experience with the CWA because he's been coming since the very first one. All right, let's get into it.
As significant as the online community is in climbing, you can't replace the value of physically being in that same place and engaging in these conversations.
Power. This time to build power. This time to build power. This time to build power.
Schedule's going off relatively without a hitch, and exhibit hall has been buzzing all day, so we're happy to see all that happening.
I am baffled by the amount of poise and I'm just here having fun that it appears that you have going on because I can't imagine with any size team organizing all of this. It's kind of insane.
We are a small team. It's just 4 of us total.
Yeah.
But what's nice is that they're really supportive. When Bill brought me on the team, our president and CEO and founder of the organization, he level set with, hey, this is going to be a lot of logistics. It's going to be a lot of upfront planning and high level of detail. But if you're able to carve out the time for the passion projects and seeing through other aspects of the event that you would like to bring to life, then do it. And you have the freedom to do that. So I think having that opportunity to balance out the sort of nitty gritty in the weeds of pulling this event together, along with developing content areas for presentations and panels that are really going to help support the industry and support the people here and growing and developing and deepening their practice. That's what keeps me smiling and happy here.
Yeah, it seems to me that you're really, really interested in moving things forward, the whole industry. I haven't gotten the impression that it's like a selfish pursuit at all. If I were in your position, I would be like, more training, but you're helping things move forward in all directions, which I think makes you the perfect person for the job.
Thank you.
What was the initial impetus for the CWA?
For
I don't
this
know a
year's
whole lot
event?
about it, so
Sure.
I mean, just initially.
Initially.
Period. Do you know the history of how it all sort of came about?
I can speak to that to a certain extent. The founders originally recognized this gap in the industry where there are climbing gyms cropping up. There's interest. It's not quite mainstream. It's actually quite far from the mainstream.
Right.
But they saw the business potential for wall builders and holds companies and flooring and all the aspects that it takes to bring a gym to life. And they saw that we had a lot of your traditional just climber dirtbags kind of who are becoming entrepreneurs.
Sure.
And there's a learning curve there, and there's opportunity for education and opportunity to grow economically. And so that's how this sort of hybrid exhibit hall and conference model was born. And that's what makes the show, I think, somewhat unique in the outdoor industry.
Yeah,
and the climbing
all the people
industry.
I've talked to who have been here since the first one or since the second one or since really early on, they've all expressed not necessarily surprise, but awe maybe at the growth of it. And several of them have really pointed to this year as a big growth curve versus last year.
Wow, that's really exciting to hear.
Yeah, and I don't have anything to judge it by because this is my first CWA.
Yeah, well, this is my first too. So
what what is it that you brought that makes this one, in the eyes of those people who've been here forever, so much different, do you think?
That's a good question. I do remember when I first came onto the team, just reflecting on what the potential for this event could be. And there's so much going on the forefront of identity politics that we can address as a community.
Sure.
And so one priority that I had for the event was, if we have now almost 900 people in one place, because that's where we're at. We were expecting, by the way, about 600, 700 people, more like
Right.
700, and now we're at 900. So I'm so psyched. But if we have all these people in one place, and we have people who are having this focus on operations management, program development, and they're looking for new ideas. And everything that I know about the climbing community is these are good, solid people. These are people who care about their community. These are people who want to make their community better. And this was an opportunity to speak to ways that we can create pathways to open up climbing to communities that haven't had access to it, be that financial, cultural, economic barriers. Bringing out folks like Ryan Gagnon, bringing out James Mills as the keynote speaker, just setting that tone was a big priority for that.
Yeah, I love James. James is a friend of mine and an amazing guy. And I thought of the CWA coming in as like the indoor climbing retailers,
Sure.
So I was surprised to see James as the keynote speaker, not because he's not a great speaker, but because I wasn't sure how it fit into the greater narrative. But now that I'm here and seeing what's going on and, feeling the buzz that's going around the place and having conversations with people, now it makes total sense. And that's something that you saw before it happened. And again, I think that's why you're in this position that you're in. The ability to understand that that's a really integral part of the growth, which I think we all get, but not to the degree that I would have made it such a big part of the event. And
well,
it seems
I can't
to be
take
working.
so much credit. I mean, I've just brought out the folks who are doing the good work.
Sure.
For example, we have Elise Rylander from Out There Adventures. In particular, she's giving a discussion on pathways for LGBTQ youth and entry-level staff to obtain fellowships and internships into the industry. So really the focus that I'm coming from is, what can I do, one, to cultivate these conversations, and two, ensure that these conversations are helping folks come home with, well, what now? Answers to that question.
Right.
So as long as it checked those two boxes, and
Or
they
because
were,
I just talked to Tonde,
yeah,
other questions to ask.
yeah,
Because he'd say, well, there is no answer.
yeah, he's great. He's so humble. He has so much to offer, but also recognizes that, we can always keep learning. And I think that's what makes him so great.
Yeah, and he's got something that, was it Elise? Is that
Elise,
who
yeah.
you just said that I'm sure she brings in, that you introduced me to Ryan last night, and that he definitely brings in, and that's that they're really, really passionate about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I hadn't put a ton of thought into the idea of getting minority kids involved in climbing. I hadn't put a lot of thought into how that would happen or what the logistics of it would be. But listening to Ryan talk about it last night, I was immediately like, I should be doing this. Why am I not doing this?
His passion is infectious. Just being around him made me so inspired to see what he's created, because no one sat him down and said, this is something that needs to be done. And that's what I really admire from him, is that, he was guiding and decided he so-called needed to grow up or go to grad school.
Right.
So he gets his degree, and then he gets his next degree, his doctorate in, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he just created this opportunity for himself and to help other people and to support this community that he's passionate about.
Yeah.
So that's what I really admire about him. And, you know, his partnership with USA Climbing has already yielded so much. And I cannot wait to see how his presentation goes tomorrow, because I know there are going to be a lot of hand raisers in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Who are going to want to participate and create pilot programs like this.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking, how can I help with this? And I don't own a gym, or, you know.
Right. Right.
It's amazing
Can
listening
I be the
to
bus
people
driver?
like that. Yeah, totally.
Seriously.
But I think that's how the whole industry is. You know, I think I see so many people who are in that position where they've figured it out for themselves, put themselves in this position that they then use to help other people figure out how to get into their position.
And I think everybody in this room has that quality in common. I think everybody here, you know, for the most part, are entrepreneurs. They are carving out a space for themselves in this industry. No one handed it to them.
Yeah.
So while it is a relatively small sandbox economically for the dollars being spent, although that is growing year over year, you know, they're all finding ways to stand out and be unique and diversify what they're offering and innovate. And that's the personality and that's the energy that's here at this event. So someone like Ryan coming in, speaking to a different type of programming or a different type of idea that maybe folks haven't considered, it's still so relatable.
Sure.
And what it took to get there. And I think that's where everybody has that in common.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all been out of the box thinkers to some degree, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this industry has sprung up from nothing essentially over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, it really was. I mean,
It's pretty
the first gyms
unbelievable.
I went to were just little tiny plywood gyms that, you know, were great gyms.
And they're
but-
still some of the greatest.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
some of the greatest gyms, but what's grown out of that is, it's hard to even comprehend.
Seeing what some of these wall builders are doing right now, for example,
crazy.
is really, really creative.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And especially the holds companies
Yeah.
and what they're creating. We have these giant tufa snaking up to
Yeah.
the ceiling. We have what, like 20, 30 foot ceilings in here. We have this giant tufa in here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, something I really appreciate about being here, and I was talking to some of the setters earlier and explaining to them that for me, that's what this place represented when I first contacted you and said I would like to come out and, you know, work with the CWA on something. I don't know what. But for me, I don't run into these people out at the crags.
Right.
You know, this isn't the group I see outside or necessarily even at OR. But this is such an integral part of the industry and the community. The setters, the shapers, the gym owners, you know, and I wanted to be able to talk to those people as well.
Sure.
And having
Yeah.
this gathering of 900 of them,
I know.
you know,
Still can't believe it.
it's amazing. I've just been running around with my microphone like an idiot,
Yeah.
just ambushing people. So
That's the way to be here.
So yeah, I really appreciate that this gathering happens. You know, what if someone were to contact you and say, I'm considering coming to the CWA, why should I?
Sure. I
What
guess
do you say?
my first question would be, what is your role in the climbing industry? Or better yet, what would you like it
What
to
would
be?
you like it to be?
Yeah. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter where you're at right now so much as that you have the desire and the drive to have a vision and to make the right connections and work hard to make that happen. And this is a great place to make those connections, to meet the right people, have a few beers,
Yeah. Few beers.
maybe a bottle of scotch.
You're not speaking from experience
No,
at
no.
all.
No, of course not.
Well, I think you said something really important. You said, not only is this a great place to connect, meet those people, but if you want to work hard to get there,
Yeah.
I think that's a really key part that people
Yeah.
have to remember.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
You don't come to these things as a networking event and just walk around and expect networking to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to work for it. And I do believe wholeheartedly that within this industry and within this community, if you're willing to put yourself out there, if you believe in your idea, then it's not hard to meet the people who can help that idea come to fruition, or
Yeah.
or to find the people who you want to help their ideas.
Yeah, there's
you know?
still a lot of room. So if you're
Yeah.
looking to create something, if you have a passion project and you want to make that come to life in the climbing industry, the indoor climbing industry, there's a lot of room. And, you know, the folks that are here right now, they spend all year thinking about how they're going to leverage this moment, because it's a moment for them. So they're not showing up. This is our everyday offering. This is who we are. I mean, you can, and you'll probably still do well, because a lot of these folks are really super talented and hardworking. But the smartest ones are using this moment to show off really their full potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I had a great conversation with Louis Anderson earlier, and wanted to know, as an OG in this game, you know, and then as a vet of this community and of this show, he's been here every year.
Right.
With the advent of social media and the internet and being able to launch a company from your living room and have it be
Right.
successful immediately, why choose the CWA to launch your hold line? You
Right.
know, and it's essentially it's because his people are here, and it's the best gathering of the people who care, and they can put their hands on the things, and that means everything.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
it's a tactile sport, tactile
You
activity.
took the word
like
right out of my
climbing
mouth.
is.
I was going to say, the CWA, we don't really have a big social media presence. We could. I recognize that the industry is so heavy on the Instagram and
Yeah.
so heavy on all of that. And as much as I'd like to have a sexier presence online, the CWA and what we offer is so tactile.
Yeah.
Because it's this event, it's here, it's the in-person, and it's also all the certification that we do. So helping setters be safer at height,
Right.
training wall instructors, etc. What we do is face-to-face.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it's you know, I talked to Tonde about he's very much Yoda, but he also is very pragmatic, and those two things don't seem to clash in him at all, which I found really interesting.
I think yoga's a bit pragmatic at times when he chose to be.
Yeah, totally. and that's what I'm seeing here. Like, it's a really fun atmosphere. It's everybody's hanging out. I mean, we were all here till midnight or something last night, drinking and talking, and
Yeah.
you know, and there's just this great energy. But then there are classes that everyone is going to and excited about, and everyone wants to know what class you're going to, and
It's like being back in college.
yeah, but then there are very, very pragmatic classes, like you just said, like how to work better at height, and you know, the safety aspects and the business aspects
Sure.
are represented here.
Yeah.
Hugely, you know, the legal aspects, and there's everything from the gym side of things that I would have never really thought about, you know, the flooring and the
Sure.
insurance, and all these
Sure.
things are represented here for
Sure.
the people who want to know what's new in the industry.
Yeah, and that's a huge contrast from year one being more high level, more 10,000 feet, how to run a business. And now, due to the growth of the event, or causing and inspiring the growth of the event, is specializing and allowing folks to hone in on these subjects in greater depth. So not just opening a climbing gym 101, but here's the aspects of funding. Here are the aspects of insurance and legal considerations.
Yeah.
How to hire people, how
Yeah.
to manage people. These
Yep.
are things that these are acquired skills, and some folks have that, and some folks need a little more help, and that's totally understandable. And
Totally.
this is a great way to crash course in those topics and get yourself set up for success.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just a show where big gyms should be either. I mean, that's I'm definitely getting that feel. There's a lot of very small, single gym groups here.
Absolutely.
And it's all of the presenters, you already said this, are entrepreneurs. You know, yes, there are some bigger companies here, BD and, some of the bigger companies, but there's also the tiny companies. Yeah. And it like Rock Candy.
Well, Sam Krieg is here sewing bags. It's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, I walked past Sam and he said, "We never made your chalk bags." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I've talked shit about you a number of times."
He's amazing.
because you totally just dropped the ball on my emails.
He's one guy.
Yeah.
It's just him.
And he's like, "Let's do it. Let's talk about it right now. I got to make your chalk bags." You know? And
you should have him do it here.
Yeah, totally. And So Ill are a group that I've spent a lot of time with, and they've been coming since early on, and they've watched the show grow as they've grown,
Exactly.
and they feel like it's an integral part of their business.
Yeah.
Showing up here and having everything for people to touch and feel and understand.
And they're really creative.
Even though they have this massive social media presence.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
They could very easily make their living just off of social media because they're amazing at it.
Yeah.
But they feel like they need to be here.
What I like about it too is like, if we do other trade shows in Germany or we go to shows in Japan and shows in Salt Lake or Denver or whatever, but this one, it's not a real salesy environment, which is good for me because I'm not a sales guy. If I was, I'd be like, I don't know about this place. But what I love about it is seeing gym owners, discussing things with them. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just showing the cool stuff we've worked on over the last year. So there's no like weird pressure. There's no like try to sign or try to sell or try to, there's no agenda. It's just cool to hang out with people and get their perspectives and share ideas and show new products at the same time. There's few times when I feel like the brand can come to life. So at a place like this, that's why we spend so much time making the booth cool and getting all the products right and making sure we got all the newest things in to show people. It's special to me to be able to come in person and set something up and have people be able to talk to them face to face and experience like all the heart and soul that we've put into design and all those things in person and not just looking at like a flashy picture online. So that's important for me. So that's why we try to make it so neat and have the booth so interesting looking. But I also relate to gym owners too. And I believe, even though things are changing and a lot's going online, I believe in traditional brick and mortar. I'm still like in that age where I want to go to the mall and I want to try on my pair of shoes. And I'm not sure about the next generation, but currently I think there's a huge demographic of people still doing that. So for how much work we put into things on the front end, from design to aesthetics to sourcing to like marketing and like, making cool things for cool people, as much work as we put into that, like I want to find the right partners too who are going to do really cool with the brand. So for instance, our Japanese guys are here. They're interested in indoor climbing. They have 7 gyms. They do online distribution. They do import. They sell to 300 climbing gyms, and it's an awesome opportunity to show them our space, the booth, and say, hey, this is how your displays need to look in Japan. Like, this is when a new product comes out, this is what it needs to look like. This is how it needs to be displayed. And we can do that in person here, showing them the booth. And it's like an incredible thing. I think tomorrow I've got meetings with 5 or 6 different distributors from around the world. Our guys from Israel are here. Guys from Canada are here. So it's just a really unique opportunity to talk with people.
And, as significant as the online community is in climbing, experiential isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Yep. No.
So they see the value in that, and we're grateful for that.
I think that experiential, tactile thing is, that experience is the whole reason.
And they had Jason Kell here shaping.
Yeah.
Live shaping, which is pretty cool to watch.
And, this morning at Tone Day's presentation, I was there really early, and got to watch people come in, and I wanted to see who was going to show up because
Sure.
I really wanted to hear Tunde speak.
Mm-hmm. He had a packed house.
He had a jam-packed house.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to watch Jason walk in and Typhus walk in and Nathan from Rock Candy and John Unks, the head setter at Momentum. And, watching all these big names and influential characters in the climbing community walk in to watch this presentation of a guy they could probably just call up and say, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely.
That validates it for me.
Yeah.
Like this is why I'm here. The same reason that all these guys who I would look to for the answers,
Sure.
they're here.
Sure. Sure. And you can't replace the value of physically being in that same place
Totally.
and engaging in these conversations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So where's it go from here? Are we even allowed to say what's coming? What's next?
Well,
what's in your pipeline?
It's a great question. I know step one is I'm going to disappear into Rocky Mountain National Park for
That's
about
a
48
really
hours.
Great idea.
That's step one.
Should be more like 96
96
hours.
to 2 months. No. No, but there's so much to digest and think through. I'm excited to actually continue to grow the CWA events program holistically, not just the summit. So bringing more regional opportunities to these smaller gyms, opportunities for training and certification, but also maybe some more creative focused events. So stay tuned for that. I don't quite have details yet, but we do have some ideas teed up. I'll keep you posted.
I have some ideas I need to pitch to you as well.
Oh, cool.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
Actually, we will talk about that. But in terms of the summit, a couple things, this year, and I had breakfast with James this morning to talk about his experience, and he was here for a day and a half. And we got to the idea that it's great that we are acknowledging diversity as a topic for the sake of. But what I want to get away from is exactly that.
Sure.
And I just want the experience of the event to be representative.
Sure. Yep.
So I think
that's a natural evolution that has to happen. But but I think it has to start with the recognizing it and
So I'm hoping next year that we're going to have a lot of gyms reporting back on piloting Ryan's program in their gyms. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. Next year will also be a year out from the Olympics. I'm not sure if I can legally say Olympics, but I just said it.
I don't know why you couldn't.
Olympics.
Yeah.
There's some
Now we're
serious
both in
rules around
trouble.
it. So there'll be some excitement around that and some momentum there. We have a partnership with USA Climbing for this coaches symposium, as you know, and hopefully can bring out some more heavy hitters in that space and continue to foster that community.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to talk to John Muse.
Yeah, he's great.
Try to pin him down, even though he's constantly either running to do something or on his phone or on his computer. Because
he's a busy guy.
A busy dude.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to talk to him a little about that as well. So.
Yeah. Every once in a while, we can stop by Avery Brewing Company and have a beer.
Awesome.
But anyways, what am I excited about? We have great nonprofit partners from what's called the Climbing Alliance.
Okay.
In the Boulder area, they're all based. So the Access Fund, the American Alpine Club, the AMGA, USA Climbing, and our organization. We've been working together to partner up to offer more resources as a unified group to the climbing community. So I'm looking forward to hopefully launching more about that at next year's summit. And overall, I'm just excited to see more folks coming out who are looking to create and to innovate and to add more spunk and personality to this already eclectic community.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's not it doesn't sound like you're trying to become more corporate. It sounds like you're trying to just become better.
I think we need to stay funky. I think, folks ask me, why are you smiling so much? There's a lot.
Well, last night it was the scotch.
I thought we agreed. I didn't drink any scotch last night.
Oh, yeah. That's
No.
true.
But they're like, well, why do you seem like you look light as a, your shoulders aren't tensed up. You look
Yeah.
like you should be more stressed. It's like, because ultimately these problems are all solvable, and we're here to enjoy the experience. And I've been enjoying talking to everyone, hearing their anecdotes.
Yeah.
That's what brings me joy, is seeing these folks who are just came from across the country, from across the world, and they're getting so much out of the experience. And so that's what I take home with me, and will make me excited to kick it off starting in June, planning for 2019.
Cool. Well, let me know whatever role I can play, or I would love to come back and do more podcasting in some greater role. So
maybe we can tee you up for a workshop next year.
I'm 100% in for that.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you, Emily. I appreciate a ton you setting this up and sitting down with me and making all of this happen. I mean,
I'm so glad you reached out. This is great.
Who's your team, just so we know here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bill Zimmerman is our president and CEO and the founder of the organization.
Yeah. I still have to find him for a selfie.
Yeah. Yes. He is probably hiding because of that. Oh, man. Laura Aluret is our marketing manager, and Dan Jeanette is our membership manager. So it's just the four of us.
Just the four of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing event for a giant team, more or less 4 people. So
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks.
Emily, thank you very much for sitting down with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you and Laura and the whole team very, very soon. Can't wait. If this hasn't convinced all of you that you need to go to CWA, if you're involved in the indoor climbing industry, even in the outdoor climbing industry, there's so much crossover. I don't know how you can only be involved in one. And I think we just have to take responsibility for the fact that they both feed off of each other. And this event, I think it's amazing. I don't know what else to say about it. The most productive industry trade show that I've ever had. And I went there with no big productivity goals or anything. I just went to see what was going on and came away thinking, if I don't do this next year, I'm an idiot. So anyway, you guys can find registration links right there in your pocket supercomputers. You can also go to climbingwallsummit.org to get registered for the CWA. It's coming up very, very soon. May 15th to 17th, and at the very least, go on the website, check out all of the events that are going on during the summit. Being able to walk into rooms and sit in on larger conversations and watch panels of people speak on things that I'm interested in and that really make a difference to my business was huge. So check that out. And hopefully I'll see you there. Nate and I will be coaching at a pre-conference workshop. I'll also be speaking during the conference. Hope to see you all there. Please come up and say hello. I'll be carrying around stickers. You need stickers. Take some home with you. Stick them on your cars, on your enemies' cars, on your parents' cars, whatever. Promote. That's all we ask. Also, if you're in the area, performance climbing coach seminars immediately after in Fort Collins. The next one happens in, however you pronounce it, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, October 4th through the 6th. And you can sign up for either of those at performanceclimbingcoach.com. You can find us at powercompanyclimbing.com. You can find us on the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Pinterest at Power Company Climbing. And you know what? We're still not on that Twitter because we don't tweet. We scream like eagles.
This time to build power. This time to build power. This time It's time to build power. 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 It's time to build. 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 It's time.
Cause job is the sinister character.
We nailed it.